Today, we're going to dive into one of history's most incredible and, frankly, just wildly fast national transformations. And it's a story that centers on one single, mysterious figure, Emperor Meiji.
So think about this. How does a country that's been closed off for centuries, a feudal society run by samurai, suddenly become a modern industrial world power? And it happened in a single generation, all under the reign of this one man. He took the throne when he was just a teenager. But here's the real question. Was he the genius architect behind it all, or was he just a powerful symbol for a revolution that was happening around him?
To figure that out, we're going to start with the Japan he was born into, where the emperor had no real power. Then we'll see how the shocking arrival of America's black ships completely upended everything and put him back on top. From there, we'll look at the mind-blowing revolution he oversaw, Japan's dramatic entrance onto the world stage, and finally, we'll dig into the mystery of the man himself.
Okay, first things first. We have to understand the Japan that Prince Mutsuhito, the future Emperor Meiji, was born into back in 1852. It was a world of really strict tradition and a very strange power dynamic. You see, for over 250 years, Japan had this kind of dual power setup. You had the shogun, who was the real deal, the top military commander who actually ran the country. And then you had the emperor. He was seen as a living god, a divine figure, but he had absolutely zero political power. He was basically a prisoner in his palace in Kyoto. And when I say prisoner, I'm not really exaggerating. The emperor almost never left the palace grounds. His education, it was all about poetry and calligraphy, not politics or what was happening in the world. The shogun ran the entire country without ever even asking his opinion. It was a gilded cage, but a fragile one. And to give you an idea of how fragile, every single one of Meiji's 5 siblings died as babies. This entire system, frozen in time for centuries, was about to be completely shattered by a dramatic arrival from the sea. For more than 200 years, Japan had been a locked country, almost totally cut off from the outside world. Well, that all ended in July 1853, when U.S. Commodore Matthew Perry steamed into Edo Bay with these massive steam-powered warships. The Japanese called them the Black Ships. His demand was pretty simple. Open up for trade or deal with our cannons. The shogunate had nothing that could compete, so they were forced to agree and ended up signing these deeply humiliating, unequal treaties.
And this right here is the crucial turning point. Watching the shogunate just cave to foreign demands was a massive national humiliation. It showed everyone just how weak the government had become. A wave of fury swept across Japan, especially among these young, fiery samurai known as the shishi. They were furious with the shogun, and they started to rally around the one symbol of pure, untainted Japanese identity they had left, the emperor.
So the crisis started by the Black Ships lit a fuse. Right? And that fuse led to an explosion that, in just over a decade, would put a 14-year-old boy on the throne and at the center of a brand new Japan. Here's the whirlwind of how it went down. The anti-shogunate anger just kept boiling over. Then, in a huge twist of fate, Emperor Komei suddenly died in 1867, and his teenage son, Mutsuhito, was now on the throne. The last shogun saw the writing on the wall and officially resigned, returning power to the emperor. A formal restoration of imperial rule was announced, and after a short civil war to crush the last of the shogun's supporters, a new era had officially begun.
And in the name of the new, young emperor, the government sent out this bold announcement to the world. It was a clear message. The shogun is done. A new age, the era of Meiji, which means enlightened rule, was here.
So, with the emperor officially back in charge, Japan's new leaders just hit the ground running. They unleashed a series of reforms so fast and so deep, it was basically a revolution, but one that came straight from the top. And if you want to understand just how insanely fast this all happened, just look at these 2 photos. These were both taken in the exact same year, 1872. On the left, you've got the emperor in these ancient, traditional court robes. On the right, he's in a Western-style military uniform. He wasn't just changing his country, he was transforming his own image right along with it.
And the changes they made were seismic. The Charter Oath of 1868 officially abolished feudalism. They moved the capital to Tokyo. They got rid of the old feudal territories and replaced them with modern prefectures. And then, the biggest shock of all, the samurai class, a warrior class that had defined Japan for centuries, was just dissolved. Their special status, their income, all of it gone. They even created a new constitution with a parliament, though the real power stayed with the small circle of men who had orchestrated the whole thing, the Genro.
Now, all this rapid-fire modernization, it wasn't just for its own sake. There was a very clear goal here: build a nation that was strong enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Western powers. And that meant being able to project power beyond its own shores. And pretty soon, the world's opinion of Japan started to change. Big time. By 1905, you've got this New York newspaper calling Emperor Meiji the beloved ruler of a new world power. The West, which had literally forced Japan open just a few decades earlier, now saw it as a serious player on the world stage, with the emperor as its face. And this newfound respect was earned on the battlefield. Japan defeated its massive neighbor China in 1895 and took Taiwan. Then came the real shocker for the world. In 1905, they defeated a major European power, Russia. By 1910, they had annexed Korea. In the span of a single reign, Japan went from being a victim of imperialism to being an imperial power itself.
Which brings us right back to our big question. We've seen the incredible transformation. It's undeniable. But what was Emperor Meiji's actual role in all of this? Was he the one calling the shots? Well, historians are completely divided on this. One view says he was basically a figurehead, a powerful, divine symbol that the real rulers, that general oligarchy, used to make their radical changes seem legitimate. The other view argues that no, he was a true autocrat, a strong-willed leader who pushed his own ideas. The problem is, he left no diary, almost no personal letters. The man himself is kind of a ghost, making his true influence a huge matter of debate.
So what was he, the quiet eye of the storm? A sacred symbol around which a nation furiously re-meet itself? Or was he the storm's driving force, a visionary leader who personally dragged his country into the modern world? This question of the real man behind the throne remains one of the most fascinating debates in all of modern history.